The November 19, 2025 regular meeting of the Holland City Council. I'm Mayor Nathan Box, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Klumparens.
Here.
Vreeman.
Here.
Raymond. Here. Corbin.
Here.
Marroquin.
Here.
Rowan.
Here.
Shea.
Here.
Schulteis.
Present.
Mayor Box.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to begin this evening's meeting as we have for many years, first with an opening prayer this evening by Councilmember Vreeman, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would invite you to join us.
I ask that you join me in prayer if you're inclined. Lord, we come before you this evening and we are grateful for this day, for the many gifts that you have granted to us to steward. Lord, we would now put this meeting before you that you might be honored in our decisions that we make, that you would grant to my colleagues wisdom and discernment and insight. Give us abilities even beyond ourselves to dialogue and converse and to make decisions well. We thank you for this city and all it means to us. And it's by your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Vreeman. Next item on the agenda are our consent agenda items. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine, and they will be enacted in one motion unless a member of the public or a member of council asks to have an item removed from the consent agenda, and then it will be placed in its regular order on the regular agenda. But before I do that, Brenda, would you please review the consent agenda items for us?
Okay, 4B, approve the minutes of the November 5 regular meeting and November 12, 2025 study session. 4C, oaths of office. 4D, a grant of utility easement for Holland City Fiber at Stir Meadows. 4E, declaration of surplus materials from the Board of Public Works Fall 2025. 4F, Holland Energy Park combustion turbine generator fire protection upgrade. 4G, appointment of special counsel to assist with power supply transactions. 4H, adopt a resolution for Holland Museum special event liquor license. 4I, a new business license for DeYoung Industrial Disposal. 4J, approve the refurbishing of loader number 125. 4K, transfer of ownership of retired police canine. 4L, law enforcement intergovernmental agreement. 4M, the Board of Review appointment of a city officer. And 4N, approve amended Double Up Food Bucks grant agreement for Holland Farmers Market.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Is there any member of the public who would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none. Any member of council that would like to have an item removed from consent? Seeing none there as well. What is the pleasure of council in regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Rowan. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Klumparens.
Yes.
Vreeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Marroquin.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on our agenda, item number 5, is public comment. Under the Open Meetings Act of the State of Michigan, we provide the public the opportunity to address council at our regular meetings, our study sessions, and every one of our board, committee, and commission meetings. We do have guidelines that we ask you to follow, and we are strict about those. We do provide each person up to 5 minutes to address council, and we are strict about that. We generally have 3 lights on the dais, but those are not operating tonight. But we do have a timer that we're going to be following. You may speak on any subject that you would like to, but this is one-way communication. It's an opportunity for you to address council on any subject that you believe is important. We don't answer questions during this time, nor do we engage in discussion. Each person may speak up to one time, and if more than one person comes up to the podium, you still only are allowed 5 minutes total. If each person wants to speak, one person must step away from the podium. And when you step up to the podium, we ask that you please state your name and the municipality in which you live, because it's important to us if you are a resident of the city of Holland or not. Now, having said that, is there anyone here who would like to address council at this time? Yes, please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Willard. I live in Holland Charter Township.
Go ahead.
Lord, let these words be seeds planted in truth and grown in grace. Amen. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Stephen Willard, and I live in Holland Charter Township. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight, even as a non-resident, because what happens in Holland City doesn't stop at the city line, and goes the same goes for what happens in the township. I'm here to talk about a growing issue that affects both of our communities: the unchecked rise in loud, modified vehicle exhausts and reckless driving. While Holland City has its own police department and ordinances, Holland Charter Township relies on Ottawa County Sheriff. Unfortunately, inconsistent enforcement gaps in one jurisdiction creates a ripple effect in the other. When drivers know they can get away with it in one area, the behavior spreads, and the people who pay the price are residents on both sides of the boundary, who lose sleep, peace, and trust in local government. Holland's downtown is beautiful. It's walkable, vibrant, it's full of character. But when the roar of modified exhaust drowns out conversation and peace, that beauty is overshadowed. Noise pollution makes a lovely place feel hostile. It's not just unpleasant, it's a signal that disorder is tolerated. That's why I urge this council to use your police force to ticket these offenders at every opportunity. Enforcement matters. Visibility matters. And consistency sends a message that Holland values its public spaces and the people who use them. Recently, I exercised my First Amendment right by distributing flyers at a public park during a ribbon cutting event. I stayed clear of the ceremony and I remained respectful throughout, while one group confronted me and told me to leave multiple times, puffed up their chest even. This is in your city. Far more people, though, thanked me. Your residents are tired of the noise, too. One woman who lives in Holland Heights told me she hates living there because vehicles race up and down her block, and she feels helpless. An elderly couple shared how, before stop signs were installed on 6th Street, it was constantly used as a racetrack by drivers with modified exhausts. But stop signs are just a Band-Aid. They don't solve the problem. They just shift it to another street, another township. People aren't asking for favors. They're asking for peace. They're asking for action. This isn't about blame. It's about partnership. It's about recognizing that our communities are interconnected. And enforcement gaps in one place become quality of life issues in another. I'm asking you to consider how Holland City can lead by example and draw a hard line that residents' peace is more important than a vehicle's loud exhaust. That kind of standard builds trust, it protects livability, and sends a clear message. Disorder isn't welcome here. Thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time?
I would.
Yes. Would you please state your name?
Sorry, ma'am.
Would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
I will. My name is Israel Quintanilla, also known as Izzy. Again, I'm here to speak on my behalf regarding an incident 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Reliable Sports, the iconic store of Holland, Michigan. Okay? I was the guy that bought it. I was the guy that moved it. I was the guy that dealt with Kenny trying to sue me back. I was dealt with you guys sending a cop in to try to buy pool equipment and getting me charged for extortion. Well, you know what? Script's on you now, okay? Especially you, Mayor Brock, because I was even polite enough repeatedly to ask you to call me, by the way, 616-377-6698. I'm streaming now. I'm getting a lot of attention. That phone call is more than willing to take at any time. This can all go away. You can't shut me down, you can't gag me, and you can't tell me that what I'm saying is a lie, because I'm even posting the paperwork. The police report for Brian Eller, it's posted on my wall. For those that want to know who I am, I'm Izzy versus Holland on Facebook. I've been fighting them for 5.5 years, everybody in this room. They took my life away. I'm homeless. I want my kids back in my life. My own youngest had to get away from me because it got too scary for him. Because even the police were harassing him. When's this going to end? I'll keep coming back. I'm going to keep streaming. I'm going to do all this until we can sit down and look at the black and white paperwork that I have provided, that you have provided. Keith Verbeek. This is a joke. You can't hide from the paperwork, Mayor Brock. It doesn't lie. You want to use my record against me? For those that don't know me, yes, I am a convicted felon. Yes, I have 24 felonies. Yes, I'm a con. But you can't con a con. And I'm praying and I'm hoping Fox News, ABC News, or somebody picks this up. Because you know what? The truth will set me free. Whenever you want to call me, we can sit down like grown men. We can figure this out. But you have been elected again to what? To cover for the wealthy? To keep laughing at me? To death do us part. I will not give up this fight. Anything happens to me is because this community had something to do with it. That's power to be able to come in here tonight and state these facts in front of your community and your board. You, Mr. Mayor Brock, need to return a phone call. And I won't come in here again. Have a good day.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
My name is Nancy Honor. I live in the city of Holland, Holland Heights to be specific. I am here to advocate for a cultural city shift on our pedestrians. We want everyone to be safe. We all have the same goal. We don't want to have a false sense of security for our pedestrians, nor do we want to have a false sense of entitlement for our drivers in the city. Pedestrians need to put away their phones and pay attention. How many times do you see people walking across the street looking at their phone? Drivers need to recognize that their vehicles can kill and need to avoid distractions. With so many electric vehicles these days, they're very quiet and can't always be heard. I would like to make it a city goal to exceed MDOT requirements in a planned, strategic way in all of our pedestrian crossings. Let's be proactive, not reactive. The non-motorized transportation plan, which I have a copy of, was approved in 2022 under Mayor Bach's leadership. Let's use it, and not just during construction. Let's expand the use of eye-catching paint and signage, which is both effective and can be inexpensive. Let's expand the use of pedestrian islands and hybrid beacons to include high-density residential areas. The 40th Street crosswalk at the Holland Christian Athletic Fields have brought crosswalks front and center to city. Residents have asked for help. To consider eliminating the crosswalk is really disheartening. In an effort to take a look at this, I've done a drive around the city and taken some pictures. And I can't show them to you, so you'll just have to trust me on what they are. The South Shore Development Area has very distinctive pavement changes and overhead lighting. There's pavement along with bricks and concrete indicating a crosswalk. We have added 3 stop signs on 6th Street for the new ice rink with distinctive pavement change for the rink, also in mid-block. On Columbia Avenue at Hope College, we added 2 new mid-block crossings between 10th and 13th Streets. They also have distinctive pavement changes, eye-catching paint in 2 different formats, overhead lighting, and additional signage. On Columbia Avenue, near Black River School, we have between 24th and 22nd Street, we've added a mid-block crossing between the condos and Prospect Park. The speed limit there is 25, and they have added significant signage for that crosswalk. And last, I want to point out that Waverly Road between 32nd Street and 24th Street also has a pedestrian crosswalk. There, the speed limit is 40 miles an hour. It is a mid-block crossing from the MVP campus to the Waverly Technical Campus. It has pedestrian activated overhead lighting, and it is a 5-lane with a center turn lane road. 40 miles an hour. And I also wonder if our crossings are being regularly inspected. My question came in thinking about the 40th Street crossing, and how did we not know in almost 20 years that it was not up to code? Also, while I was driving around, I noticed that the pedestrian crosswalk at Longfellow School, the painting there is all faded. I live near Holland Heights Elementary. All the students from there are now bused to Longfellow School, and neither of those crosswalks are well marked. Putting crossing inspections in a plan don't eliminate them. Law enforcement could spread. If law enforcement would pay attention to pedestrian crosswalks, the word would spread like wildfire, that people are paying attention, and please pay attention to crosswalks. Achieving 0 pedestrian accidents is achievable if we want to. If Europe, Portland, Oregon, Ann Arbor, Michigan have a culture of respect for pedestrians, so can Holland. So please keep the crosswalk at 40th Street and look at enhancing the rest of our pedestrian crosswalks. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Sure. My name is Michelle Vera, and actually I am going to be speaking in regarding this important matter. So good evening.
Could you please state your municipality for the record, where you live, please?
I'm actually a former Michigan resident, born and raised, and because of my situation as being a domestic violence survivor, I was pushed out of Holland, Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm here today, also a member of Protective Parents Michigan. Thank you. November is a Family Court Awareness Month, and we would like to help raise awareness of the need to prioritize child safety in family court and custody decisions. 1 in 3 Michigan families are directly impacted by domestic violence, but abuse also affects each one of us in our communities. Without proper training for family courts on domestic violence, children continue to be exposed to abuse, and families need more social support, putting an extra strain on local services like shelters, counseling, and protective services. Post-separation abuse in family court puts the children in harm's way because abusive parents are more likely to seek sole custody and are successful 70% of the time. Tragically, abuse is not often not understood or believed by the courts, and many children are ordered into unsupervised visits with the abusive parents. These statistics show why family court reform is needed. Up to 60% of perpetrators who abuse their spouse will abuse their child. Adverse childhood experiences, such as abuse, negatively impact a child's development, their relationships, their mental and physical health. Most child abuse is perpetrated in the family by a parent. And one child dies every 6 days amid custody fights and family court cases. Since 2008, 39 Michigan children have been murdered during divorce and custody battles. One of these children was Rowan Maury Poles of Caledonia, Michigan, who was not returned to his mother at the end of the father's parenting time and was later found to be a victim of murder-suicide. Rowan's mom had been unable to have an Amber Alert issued despite appealing to police and the family court judge. A new bill that has passed the Michigan House is now being considered by the Senate is Rowan's Act. This would allow state police to issue an Amber Alert more quickly when a child is considered to be in danger. We are also trying to establish Caden's Law in Michigan to prevent future tragedies. Caden's Law is focused on prioritizing child protection over parents' rights. Caden's Law would require training for judges about all types of abuse, including the psychological abuse, financial abuse, and coercive control. And judges would need to consider past history of domestic violence when making custody decisions. Our children's lives are literally dependent on the courts becoming educated on these issues. We hope the City of Holland will consider proclaiming November as a Family Court Awareness Month next year. And if anyone would like to support Caden's Law, please contact your state representative. To support Rowan's Act, please contact your state senator. If you or someone you know is struggling to protect children in family court, please contact the Protective Parents Michigan on Facebook and the rowanproject.org website. I'm also going to say just a few words in regarding to a 501c3, Peoplehood United, in which I have started. As a domestic violence survivor, I can say that I experienced the injustices of what happens. As a former CPS worker from 2011 until 2020, in which I was forced to resign by myself because of my mental capacity, in which I was not heard as a post-domestic violence survivor. My case was pushed to the side. Meanwhile, CPS was involved because of marks and bruises that were left on my own child. And my child was 3. And because of that, I have suffered mentally as well as my children. And if anybody could break down the examples of what happens as a consequence towards adverse childhood experiences, that is me. I'm also when it comes up to being a former administrator for higher education, I had worked that. So I'm not coming here as someone who's bitter. I'm here as an educated, experienced professional who's fought so hard to protect my own children. But it makes a big difference. So when you really think about the mental health is really an important matter. And unfortunately, the way the world is becoming, it's sliding underneath the case of having their budgets cut. And that's something that needs to be addressed.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, that's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, your time has expired.
No, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Most definitely. Hello, City Council. I am Chris Michelle, the Allegan County Drain Commissioner. I'm coming down here tonight just to check in, see how things are in the City of Holland. We share a couple of drains with you guys. I know the Tulip County is a big one in the Maplewood. Recently, we've done work this past fall, September-ish, to clear out stuff on the Tulip County drain. I mean, we work hand in hand with a bunch of the different people, and yeah. So I just wanted to introduce myself and see how you guys are doing. So appreciate it.
Wonderful.
I'll give Keith a map of the different drains too.
Great.
Thank you for your service.
Wonderful. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yes, my name is Jennifer Williams. I live on the south side of Holland in the city. And I am here also to talk about a child safety issue. It was brought to my attention that there is a consideration for extending the social drinking area to include the ice rink. And with the thought of that, I have 4 questions for the council. Not expecting answers, as you stated earlier. But has the city quoted the cost of the increased insurance coverage that will be, should there be increased risk of an alcohol-involved injury at the ice rink? That's the first question. Second question, how will the cost of that increased insurance be covered without increased cost at the ice rink? Third, who will ensure that there's no underage drinking occurring at the rink? This will expose our kids to additional risk and potential injury. And fourthly, why if all the other parks in Holland are alcohol-free, are we considering adding alcohol to the ice rink? So in short, ice plus alcohol equals increased risk of injury and harm for our kids. So my recommendation is it's not good for our kids. We should protect our kids and our families so that the ice rink can be a great place for all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Ladies and gentlemen, we do not allow any responses from the audience as part of our civil discourse policy. Would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
I will. My name is Lindell Herrick, and I'm a resident of the city of Holland, and I have been for almost 27 years. And thank all you for all that you do for our city. I don't think I could do your jobs, but I'm glad you do. If my mom were here, she would say, I'm here to address 2 proposed changes: the extension of the social district, and an even bigger concern, the use and possible sale of alcohol in the new ice skating rink. If my dad were here, he would say, you are asking for trouble. I'm here, and this is what I would like to say. Please control, don't enable. Since I'm the one here, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I have a degree in secondary education. I served 14 years as Director of Volunteers and Communications for West Ottawa Schools. I have served 12 years as the coordinator of the Project Charlie program. Some of you may have had kids involved with that or volunteered with that. It's a substance abuse prevention program serving, it's no longer here, but it served 17 area elementary schools, including Holland Public Schools, Holland Christian Schools. During that time, I earned State of Michigan certification as a substance abuse prevention specialist. I also have had a long-term connection with Frank Cry. As a 5th grade teacher, I helped get West Ottawa volunteers in his classroom, including Project Charlie volunteers. And Frank's Ice Skating Park is created for the enjoyment of our community, especially kids and families, I hear again and again. I was not aware of the expansion of the social district and the consideration of possibly allowing alcohol in the park until recently. So I haven't spoken with any of you about this. This is my time to speak. State parks in Lake Michigan do what they can to lessen danger. Not only do they not allow alcohol in the presence of the park, but they certainly wouldn't allow the sale of it. And all of that is because it could increase the danger. I say control, don't enable. Do we really think not only allowing but facilitating and encouraging alcohol consumption in an ice skating park is advisable? I look at it from a substance abuse prevention perspective. I look at it from a Holland City member. Ice skating blades on the ice and off the ice, and maybe adults consuming alcohol, maybe even skating after consuming alcohol. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not safe. So I would like you to consider all of the various consequences of the decision you're going to, I understand, make this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yes, I'm Lisa Verhaeg, and I live in the city of Holland. I live in the Cobblestone subdivision, and I'm here to ask you to improve our mid-block crosswalk rather than get rid of it. I use it always because I think it's the safest option I have. Crossing at 40th and Graskup, I'm dealing with 5 lanes of traffic coming from different ways, and when high school students coming from the south on Graskup Road are trying to get to high school, they are not worried about little kids trying to get to Pine Ridge. I have actually been in my vehicle at that corner when a very nice person waved a child across the road who was waiting at that corner, and as he entered the intersection, so did a car from another direction who had not seen this nice person who waved the child into the road. So I'm watching a child enter the road and a car coming at him, and I'm thinking this is a terrible idea. I don't cross there, and I didn't allow my children to cross there because when you're on 40th Street at the mid-block crosswalk that we have now, you have just 2 lanes of traffic to worry about. And when you're at 40th and Graskup, it's a busy corner, especially at school. And also, I know that there was concern about the slope on the north side of that crosswalk being very steep, and it is pretty steep. The one on 40th and Ottawa is also very steep if people are going to make improvements. There was also talk about putting a curb there if that crosswalk was taken away. Our back, we call it the back entrance to our subdivision, that will remain there because that's our emergency entrance. And I believe that we will all continue to use that. So putting a curb on the north side is going to make a child who's on his bike on the way to school stop in the middle of 40th Street, lift up his front tire, and continue on to school. That's not going to make things safer. I too have noticed they're new to me, the crosswalks on Columbia Avenue. They're terrific. They're mid-block crosswalks, and I would ask you to upgrade or at least keep what we have rather than getting rid of that crosswalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yeah, Martha Capistani, Holland. I'm here tonight to also speak about serving alcohol at the ice park, and I'm going to kind of state the obvious, but I think it needs to be said anyway. Combining alcohol and ice skating is bad because alcohol impairs judgment, coordination, and balance, significantly increasing the risk of injury from falls. The cold weather can also increase alcohol's effects, leading to hypothermia, and the slippery surface of an ice rink requires a high level of focus and stability that is compromised by intoxication. Here's what alcohol does to your physical abilities. Decreased coordination. Alcohol affects the parts of the brain that control motor skills and coordination, which are crucial for ice skating. Poor balance. It can cause dizziness and affect your balance, making it harder to stay upright on an already slippery surface. Impaired judgment. You may overestimate your abilities or underestimate the risks involved, leading you to attempt moves you should not or not be cautious enough to avoid danger. So let's mix ice skating with alcohol. Increased risk of falls. The combination of impaired balance and slippery surface creates a high risk of falling, which can lead to serious injuries like sprains and fractures. Hypothermia risk. Well, cold weather can make alcohol's effects worse, as alcohol causes blood vessels to dilate. It makes you feel warm, but actually causes you to lose your body heat faster, increasing the risk of hypothermia. Higher chance of serious injury. Injuries on the ice can be more severe due to the hard surface, and alcohol's effects can make it harder to react properly to a fall or seek appropriate help. Ice skating inherently carries a risk of injury with ankle sprains and stress, fractures being common occurrences even when sober. So in introducing alcohol magnifies this danger. So let me summarize. Worse falls. Being under the influence can make a person less able to fall safely. Risk to others. An impaired skater poses a hazard not just to themselves, but also to other people on the ice. Loss of control can lead to collisions. Severity of injuries. Falls on hard ice can result in serious injuries, including head trauma being one of which are much more likely when coordination is compromised. Hypothermia, possible cuts, slashes from skate blades. Now, beyond physical safety, there are other practical and social reasons. Many skating rinks, especially those that are municipally owned, have strict rules against drinking alcohol or being intoxicated on the ice. Potential liability. If a person under the influence injures someone else, they could face criminal liability, or even the same thing could happen for the city, depending on local laws. So, in closing, we currently have safe alcohol-free spaces for families, and this should remain in the same category as all the other Holland area parks. If you need alcohol to skate, you may have a bigger problem. Besides, there are places close by where people can go after skating to enjoy a beverage and warm up. As an athlete of many, many, many years and many sports, I did this once a long time ago, and it was nearly catastrophic. Inches, we're talking. I've never done it again, and never will again. So in closing, I hope you will preserve this facility as a family-centered venue without alcohol, and please consider the safety of all patrons using this wonderful addition to the City of Holland when making any decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Ann Henriksen, Zeeland. It is amazing to have a gorgeous ice rink in Holland on a perfect day for the opening. The crowd was dazzled. The mayor and the attending city council members, the city manager and assistant, Andy Kenyon, and more were at their best. Right there in the front sidewalk was the sign, "No social drinking allowed in the park," assuring the crowd that all ages, especially children, were safe to be there for the joy of skating. No one suspected that during the council meeting agenda November 5, the assistant manager and the council purposely discussed social drinking alcohol to extend to the ice park, with the discussion that the ice park facility would perhaps entertain selling alcohol at the park itself for revenue. The ordinance for no alcohol in any of the city parks somehow does not apply to the ice park? Or is that no alcohol in city park ordinance subject to change too? Your reputation is at risk. The public would never suspect it. The safety of children was never thought. Please vote no alcohol on ice to protect ourselves, the city, and the children, adults from a lawsuit. If I remember rightly, you were persuaded to host a drag show at the Civic Center for fear of someone suing the city for discrimination. Please use the same wisdom. Just a question. Is the ice park only for Holland residents, and it shouldn't be my concern?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Blaine Verhaeg, the City of Holland. I just wanted to talk about the 40th Street crosswalk. I live in Cobblestone and have lived there about 23 years. To the best of my knowledge, there has never been an accident at that crosswalk since 40th Street was redone several years ago. As I drive down the street and think about the curb that you want to put in on the north side, there are also 5 bright yellow signs that show it as a crosswalk area with 3 coming from going to the east and 2 signs going to the west. Those will all get pulled out of the ground to make it even more of a zone where people aren't aware of what's going on. So I would just like to encourage you to vote that we remain with what we have. I know that going back just a few months, how this whole thing started, to the best of my knowledge, is a young mother in the neighborhood had concern for her children crossing there and contacted the appropriate person in the city or with the BPW asking for some additional showmanship or whatever you would call it at that crosswalk. Maybe just a couple white lines added across the street. I think we're going to send the wrong message to this lady when the signs all get pulled out of the ground, put a piece of cement in across the street, take out the ramp down to the sidewalk, plant grass in it. So I'd just like to encourage you to vote to just keep it just the way it is. No expense incurred. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And you are one of our HIAC students, so welcome. And we have a couple of extra questions for you, and I'm sure that Ms. McCluskey has prepared you for that, but just for the rest of the audience, you're one of our high school students, so we ask you a couple of extra questions. We'd love to know what high school you go to, what grade you're in, what you are doing with HIAC, and if you have any plans for the future. And as I always say, if you don't, that's all right, because I didn't have any when I was your age either. So welcome.
Hello, my name is Comey. I serve on the International Relations Commission and is a junior at Holland Christian High School. I'm here to give a public comment about something very exciting happening in the city, the Tiny Art Galleries. The Tiny Art Galleries are a series of gallery boxes installed at various outdoor locations in Holland, each uniquely designed and containing tiny art, which can range from tiny photography, paintings, rescaled life-size art, to sculptures. My friend Virchow at my school started this project as a senior because he wanted to further engage the Holland community in art and expand organization visibility. Currently, he is looking to partner more location and organizations such as local art galleries, nonprofits, or public parks. You can support this project by spreading the words to help him connect with organizations, share the project with students interested in the project as he is planning to build a team, or encouraging people to bring their tiny art to the first gallery soon be installed at the Arts Council downtown. Some of my plans for the future: art has always been something that I've always had an interest in, and it's my ultimate goal to use art to raise awareness in subjects that need attention. My plans for the future is to continue in this goal and to complete various projects, including this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Amadi Stelion, and I'm a senior at Holland High School. I'm currently serving on teen court, and this is my first year. I hope to attend Michigan State University, and I plan to go either into criminology or forensic science. Today, I'm going to talk about something that is very meaningful, not only in my life, but in the lives of many kids in our community, and that is Little League. For anyone who may not know, Little League is a program for kids aged 5 to 12 that focuses on growing young athletes in softball and baseball. Even though I didn't do Little League growing up, I've seen how important and special it is for the kids who get the chance to play and learn alongside others their age. As a softball player, my team is often asked to help out at their practices. We're there to teach them how to throw and improve their form, but we also get to show them the value of potential, persistence, and pride. Mentoring these kids has honestly been one of the most rewarding parts of my high school experience. You can see their confidence grow from the moment they pick up a ball to the moment something finally clicks. And knowing that you played even a small part in that is incredible. Little League isn't just about the sport. It's about giving kids a place to belong, helping them believe in themselves, and showing them that there are people cheering for them every step of the way. I'm grateful to be a part of a community that truly cares about helping our youth grow and develop their skills. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Yaslen Ochoa. I am a senior at Holland High School. I am the chair of Hyatt Core Council, and I am a student representative on the International Relations Commission. In the year to come, I hope to pursue higher education and study international business and diplomacy. Good evening, City Council. As a citizen of gratitude approaches, I want to express how blessed we are to live in the community of Holland and how thankful I am for its commitment to equality, access, and opportunity to all. Holland is unique. It's diverse, it's welcoming, and it's collaborative. Our residents come from many walks of life, backgrounds, and cultures, yet we're all united by the shared values of kindness, compassion, and respect. This creates an environment where young people are truly supported both today and tomorrow. We're fortunate to be in a community with hundreds of nonprofits serving and uplifting Holland and its youth. Cultural organizations like I Am Academy, LAUP, and Empowering Youth Global Connection help young people embrace their identities. Resource-based organizations such as the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Holland and Escape Ministries empower each adolescent they come into contact with. Programs like EPIC and Trio Upward Bound prepare and guide students on their path to pursuing higher education, and organizations like CultureWorks, First Tee, and Velo Kids open doors to creative and active opportunities that build both on character and confidence. I just named a few of the many organizations that shape our community. Whether you're an adult, a student, a professional, or a spectator before or behind me, I encourage all of you to embrace the spirit of philanthropy. Offer your time, your treasure, or your support to any of these organizations investing in our youth, because not only are we the leaders of tomorrow, but we are the leaders and advocates of today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council? Welcome.
Hi, my name is Eva Skipper, and I'm a freshman at Holland High School. My plans for the future are I want to go to the University of Michigan and go into med school there. Today I want to talk about how important I Am Academy has been for me and many other young people in our community. I Am Academy is such a special organization to me. I was part of their movie series with them, and that experience taught me the power of storytelling. This movie series encouraged me to enter a writing contest at our school for MLK Day, and I ended up winning for our grade. The poem I wrote was about growing up feeling ashamed of my ancestors and their racism. I also read my poem at 2 protests through I Am Academy, and those moments helped me understand what community engagement really looks like. They encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, to speak up for what I believe in, and to recognize that even as a young person, I can make a meaningful impact. Programs like I Am Academy give students confidence, guidance, and a safe space to grow. They help us feel seen and valued, and they encourage us to stay connected to the city around us. I'm grateful for everything they've done for me, and I hope the city continues to support organizations that invest in young people and amplify our voices. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you. Well done, all of you. Appreciate you guys being here. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Next item on our agenda is special order of the day. It's our organizational meeting for the Holland City Council. This happens every 2 years. And the first item within that is our selection of the Mayor Pro Tem, which is our Vice Mayor. And at this time, I would ask for nominations for the Mayor Pro Tem from the floor. Do we have any nominations for Mayor Pro Tem? Yes, Ms. Raymond.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councilmember Rowan.
Do we have a second?
Support.
We've got a motion and support. Do we have any other nominations? Yes, Mr. Shea.
I'd like to nominate Councilman Corbin.
We've got one for Rowan, one for Corbin. Do we have a second for Corbin? Support. And we've got support. So we have two. We have one for Rowan, one for Corbin. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, I will close the nominations. And the way that we are going to do this is we are going to have Brenda call the name of each council member. When your name is called, you will say the name of the person that you are voting for Mayor Pro Tem. Does everybody understand that? That's incredibly complicated, but we want to make sure everybody understands that clearly. So Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, and the two choices are Rowan or Corbin.
Yes.
Okay. We will start with Vreeman.
Corbin?
Raymond?
Rowan?
Corbin?
Corbin.
Merkin?
Corbin.
Rowan?
Corbin.
Shay?
Corbin.
Schulteis?
Corbin.
Klumparens?
Corbin.
Mayor Box?
Corbin.
Okay, we have 1 with Rowan and 8 with Corbin.
All right, I believe that's Mr. Corbin. Congratulations, Mr. Corbin.
Thank you very much for everyone's consideration.
All right. Then now the next item on the agenda is selection of the Chief Governance Officer, and we'll follow the exact same procedure. So I would open up the floor for nominations for Chief Governance Officer.
I would move that we nominate Mike Schulteis.
Got a nomination for Mike Schulteis for Chief Governance Officer. Do we have support?
Support.
We've got a nomination and support for Schulteis. Do we have any other nominations? Yes, Mr. Shea.
I nominate Councilman Corbin.
And we've got a nomination for Corbin. Do we have support? We've got support by Mr. Schulteis. All right. Do we have any other nominations? We've got one for Schulteis and one for Corbin. Seeing none, I will close the nominations. And again, exact same voting procedure. When your name is called, please state the name of the person that you are voting for. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, the two options are Schulteis and Corbin. Start with Raymond.
Corbin?
Corbin.
Corbin.
Merkin.
Schulteis.
Rowan.
Schulteis.
Shay.
Corbin.
Schulteis.
Schulteis.
Klumparens.
Corbin.
Vreeman.
Schulteis?
Mayor Box.
Schulteis.
Okay, we have 5 for Schulteis and 4 for Corbin.
All right. I believe that then Mr. Schulteis. Congratulations, Mr. Schulteis.
Congratulations, sir.
Then the next item on the agenda is a resolution in regard to the schedule of the meetings for the for council, and I would be looking for a motion in that regard.
Move to approve as presented.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support? Support. Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Corbin.
Yes.
Merkin.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Klumparens.
Yes.
Vreeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next is item 7D, a resolution on the rules of council. And there were 2 small changes to the rules of council. They were just formalities, basically. One, because I believe it was just because the section of the ordinance. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and explain it? You probably do it a little better than I would, Mr.
No,
Van Beek.
it's fine. I have the information. And Mayor, Council, Public, there's a red line version that was added, so it is in your packet. Sorry if that was a little bit later. It outlines basically there's just one correction to Rule 14D, and it just referred to the wrong section. It was just a numerical change. And then the other was a correction to Rule 310. You'll recall 2 years ago, an adoption of some of you will recall 2 years ago, an adoption of ordinances. It showed up on the agenda in 2 different places, and quite frankly, it was quite confusing. So we put it only on one section, and same thing. We just missed a place where it still referenced an incorrect place on the agenda in a process. So the red line are in front of you, but really I would call them both just housekeeping corrections, not substantive change.
All right. Any questions? All right. What is the pleasure of council in regard to item 7F?
Move to approve.
All right. Moved by Rowan. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Just to clarify, I think you
Oh,
said
I'm sorry.
7F.
I'm sorry. That was the rules of council. I'm sorry. 7D. 7D.
Same.
Same motion from Rowan.
to
Do we,
approve.
and support by Vreeman? Yes.
Agreed.
Any discussion on item 7D? So, my mistake. All right. Brenda, would you please call the roll on item 7D?
Marikeen,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Schultheis,
Yes.
Klumparens,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Corbin, Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Now, item 7E, a resolution on investment and depositories. I don't think that we need a report on this one as well. What is the pleasure of council on the resolution on investment and depositories?
Move to approve.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support by Rowan. Any discussion? Seeing none, Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Rowan,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Schultheis,
Yes.
Klumparens,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Corbin, Marikeen,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Now we're up to item 7F, resolution on organization of the Planning Commission. And for members of the public, it's not always this exciting. What is the pleasure of council in regard to item 7F?
Move to approve?
Was that Mr. Shea? Thank you, Mr. Shea. Is there support?
Support.
Support, I'm going to give that one. Thank you. Yeah,
Raymond.
Raymond, thank you, Ms. Raymond. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Shay,
Yes.
Schultheis,
Yes.
Klumparens,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Corbin, Marikeen,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And one last item, item 7G, adopt a list of administrative officials to the Planning Commission and appoint administrative official to the Planning Commission. What is the pleasure of council?
Sorry, move to approve as presented.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Schultheis,
Yes.
Klumparens,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Corbin, Marikeen,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. On to item number 8, unfinished business. Item 8A, traffic changes, recommendation for removal of non-compliant crosswalk on 40th Street. Mr. Van Beek.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, members of the public. I'll introduce this, and momentarily I'll ask our transportation director engineer, Brian White, to come up. And I know that our public safety director, Matt Messer, is here also as needed. Just a few introductory comments and set the context. First of all, I'll point out that this is actually the 5th time that this topic has been on a public meeting agenda. So it is not something that hasn't been out there and hasn't, I think it's always interesting how people are aware of things and maybe they hear about it, but it's been out there. I know for several of council, we have 2 new council members, but there's been no shortage of discussion on this, including a study session there where I think we spent the better part of an hour on this. I hope everyone understands, I think they do, that this is, everyone aligns around wanting safety. I think there's good minds, good logic that could come to different conclusions, which is the topic of discussion tonight and ultimately decision by council. But I think everyone understands everyone wants safety. I will point out also, because there were a lot of comments tonight, but others, there's an attachment in your agenda item that has all of the public e-comments that we've received dating back a month and a half now, at least. And then there were public comments because we put this agenda packet out on Fridays. Other comments that were received up until probably noonish today. At some point, you know, they come in too late. They just don't make the agenda. But those are in the written petitions, the e-public comment section. So I know that's made available, and that's made available to you as council members as soon as it's available to the public. That's equally out there. I will just remind kind of process. Staff has, and it's that's why the title on the screen and the recommendation continues to be with even more discussion amongst Traffic Committee, which is a staff group of representatives from Transportation, Engineering, Planning, Neighborhood Improvement Committee, Planning Commission, or planning staff and others, police, that subject of a lot of discussion. Council, I know you know this because you've heard the conversations, but it is still a recommendation to remove this crosswalk. Brian will walk through that, but what happened is that there was a split vote and not the number of votes to take action on the recommendation one way or the other. So what we did is we went back to study session, and while the recommendation is to remove, staff also took a look at what would happen if council says we want to retain. What would it look like to improve that crosswalk at the place, to bring it up to compliant standards now, the way that we view and the way standards have changed in the industry. And I think I can represent all of council on that, and staff is, I think there's a unanimous opinion that it shouldn't stay the way that it is. It's just a matter of remove or upgrade with other improvements made to it. I will just point out, and then I'll have Brian come up and you won't have to listen to me anymore. I will point out that as I've communicated to you in study session, I did reach out to an official from Holland Christian. Didn't try to put that person in a position that they were speaking on behalf of formally the administration or anything. Had a nice conversation with them. Said, please reach back out to us if there's anything formal that you want to go on the record for. They did not do that. And I think Brian would mention also that he did reach out to the initial person that brought this forward, offering to have a conversation and reach out, and that conversation never happened. That's fine, but I just want to make sure that that was provided also. And again, I want to stress, I think everyone can unite around desire for safety. And that while somewhat there's a conversation that this is kind of a comment on all crosswalks, I think we actually heard examples. There's a lot of different criteria for every crosswalk that has a lot of different things that we take a look at. So one crosswalk is not every crosswalk. So just remember that in the conversation. So hopefully I didn't take away all the stuff you were going to talk about, Brian, but why don't you come up, and we do have the full PowerPoint presentations, even though some of it wasn't in the packet, that is available to Brian as he presents and talks through. And again, the option for council is you really have before you, I would suggest one of two options, to either remove the crosswalk or to take a look at kind of the options that we presented for if you want to retain the crosswalk, what improvements would you make around that crosswalk? Thanks for being here, Brian.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Box, council members, members of the public, and thank you, Keith, for teeing up the discussion here tonight about the 40th Street crosswalk. Just to make sure everyone's familiar with where we're located here. So this is 40th Street, in between Grasscup to the west, Ottawa to the east. the Holland Christian School campus is on the north, and then the cobblestone development is on the south. Street level view of the crosswalk, and that kind of leads into when this crosswalk was initially brought to our attention back in August. As with any traffic-related item, typically goes to the traffic committee. When traffic committee initially took a look at this, it's obvious that there's some elements of a crosswalk there, but then there's some elements that you would normally have with a crosswalk that just aren't present. And so that's the lens that we looked at this initially. Standards for this have certainly changed over the years, and there's a slide there for that too that we can talk about. I'll go through these slides fairly quickly. Won't drill in to any one specific slide unless we want to come back and do that. We can certainly do that. But as it stands currently, that crosswalk is not up to standards. We do have a slide here that shows what would need to occur were we to bring that up to standards. A couple of things, though, that we do when we look at and evaluate these things. We look at alternative paths to the destinations. We look at context, urban versus rural. And there's just several different things that we look at as a traffic committee when we review these types of requests. And again, with a primary emphasis on safety. That's the overall goal of the traffic committee, to come up with a recommendation that's the safest, what we feel is the safest for all involved. This slide here talks about, or basically speaks to the level of use. And again, the staff from the city went out on a few different occasions and just documented the use, basically, not only of the mid-block crosswalk, but also those crosswalks that are at the stop-controlled intersections at Ottawa and Grass Cup. And you can see on September 23, we had 7 users there. On September 25, we had 6 users there. This is in the morning peak hour. So as school is getting into session, that's when we took that count. This next count is in the afternoon peak hour, again, when school is getting out. The initial counts there are from September 26th and September 30th. And I pointed this out in the past, and I think it's worth noting that I believe there was a homecoming game on the 26th that bumped that number up a little bit higher than we would normally see that. So again, just for reference there. And I can tell you that certainly some discussion about standards, and a lot of times in the traffic engineering world, we like to look at warrants, basically numbers that, utilization numbers where, okay, is this warranted or is this not warranted? There is not anything in any specific standard that speaks to that. There are several different references and points of view that speak to, okay, you should put a crosswalk in with this amount of usage. And typically what you'll find is 20 in an hour is a threshold that we would normally see. Again, it doesn't come out of any of these standards that are referenced, but just anecdotally in different literature with regard to that. This speaks to the origin destination, basically the length of travel to get to the destination. And again, as a traffic committee, we felt that encouraging and directing that pedestrian traffic, that non-motorized traffic, to the stop-controlled intersections at Ottawa and Grass Cup is definitely a preferred alternative than to have that mid-block crossing there. So this basically speaks to the middle school. That prior slide was the high school. The elementary school is a little bit trickier, right? There is some double back that potentially would be involved there. However, you know, there could be options there to make that a little bit more of a direct access to the elementary school. So I mentioned standards, and standards have changed. The elements of that crosswalk, we believe, and again, this goes to improvements that were made before, you know, back in 2005, before my time, before a lot of folks' time here. The standards have changed since then. And as you can imagine, those standards come with, you know, additional signage requirements, additional pavement marking requirements, and things like that. So those are very much documented and defined in our design guides. But as I mentioned before, the warrant piece of that, right? Should this be here or should this not? There's not any specific thing in a design guide, right? It just tells you if you decide to have a crosswalk here, this is what it should look like, okay? So Exhibit 1 basically is the option for crosswalk removal. And here are basically the elements of what would occur were we to do that. Zoomed in version of that, but basically signage removal. We would remove the ramp on the north side, put in the concrete curb and gutter. On the south side, again, as has been referenced here tonight already, that does have a dual purpose for a fire access. So we would want to maintain that ramp on the south side of 40th Street. We would intend to maybe, from an aesthetic standpoint, modify that ramp so that it doesn't look or function like half of a crosswalk, basically. And so grass paver, something like that, that would be a visual cue to potential users to just go basically east and west on that south sidewalk. Then the other thing that we would propose is reconfiguring that fencing and basically staggering that fencing, creating what's typically referred to in the traffic engineering world as a chicane, so that a user, whether that be a bicyclist or a pedestrian, has to maneuver or basically turn in order to navigate the fencing there. You can see these, like a lot of these you'll find at railroad crossings and things like that, where just the geometry of that layout requires a person to turn parallel to the crossing, to the center line of the street, forces them to see oncoming traffic. The other thing too, what that would do is prevent somebody, particularly on a bicycle or maybe a runner, from just shooting across that street at a high rate of speed. Basically, that chicane is going to slow them down before they do that. So the next option here is basically to upgrade the crosswalk. And again, this takes into account these newest rules and regulations, design guides that we would reference to do that. And I'll just step through what that would look like. So basically, you'd have the crosswalk markings itself. We would propose to upgrade that ramp on the north side. As was mentioned earlier tonight, that ramp is pretty steep. It actually does not meet current ADA requirements. And so we would propose to reconfigure that ramp, and then the corresponding sidewalk, raise that up so that that ramp is no longer a problem and complies with ADA standards. We would still propose to reconfigure the fencing, and then we would also propose street lighting at that crosswalk, and then we'd update signs, and then the pavement markings in advance of the walk, right, where motorists would have signage for them to be directed to stop at that stop bar. And then this was another exhibit that we thought we would put out there, very similar to the prior one, but again, trying to get at, okay, let's slow down, make sure we slow down that motorist, or not the motorist, the bicyclist or the pedestrian, and basically offset that crosswalk from that emergency drive. And very similar improvements. The one thing I will say to this, and you can see that basically that yellow dashed line, that's the Wolverine pipeline. That is going to present some challenges for us working around that. And I think if you look at the second option there, what we're doing or what we would propose with that fence and the chicane, I think that does accomplish what we're trying to do with just making sure no non-motorized bicyclist or pedestrian goes shooting across 40th Street without being slowed down or having to navigate around that fencing. So the other thing, and this really gets into the things that the traffic committee takes into account when we're talking about these. And I think just as a whole, talked about it before, but mid-blocks in particular, we really want to be mindful of where we put these. In a downtown urban area, urban setting, where you've got slow speeds, where you've got a lot of pedestrian traffic, where motorists are used to seeing pedestrians cross, right? Traffic committee feels much more comfortable with those kinds of applications as opposed to higher speed environments, wide open spaces, and a usage that may be infrequent, so motorists aren't accustomed to seeing the utilization of that feature. The other thing, a couple of things with regard to this particular slide, and again, this gets more to the speed situation. Basically, that top exhibit is a driver's tendency to yield to a non-motorized individual increases with a decrease in speed. Okay, again, getting back to kind of that downtown feel where you've got slow speeds, you anticipate a fair amount of pedestrian and non-motorized traffic. The second slide there gets to a field of view, basically. The slower your speed, the larger your field of view. The faster you're going, the narrower your field of view. And then the last slide there just basically gets to severity, right? Pedestrian crashes and the outcomes of those crashes certainly get more severe as the speed increases. So one other slide I wanted to just highlight. Basically, this is reaction time, or often called reaction distance, basically. So again, getting to the speed element here, as a motorist perceives a pedestrian or a bicyclist in that crosswalk, depending on what speed they're going, there's a distance that they travel before even applying the brake. And so that's what this highlights basically, is as your speed increases, your distance that your vehicle travels as you apply your foot to the brake increases. But you can see even at a 30 mile an hour or a 44 foot per second rate of speed, you're still traveling 66 feet before you even are applying the brake. And that's based on a 1.5 second reaction time, which again, if you look at the literature, FHWA, that sort of thing, that's kind of a known or an accepted reaction time that's used in the literature. So again, I just want to say, with regard to the traffic committee, and as traffic items come to the traffic committee, I understand that this one, and I feel for the person who brought this up to the committee, right? We generally try and accommodate folks, right, and find a way that's safe, that we can work with folks to come up with a positive outcome. In this particular case, and again, it was unanimous at the traffic committee. We really feel that from a safety standpoint, from a speed standpoint, severity, we really feel that directing those non-motorized users to those fully controlled stopped intersections is really what we want to do, and that's why the recommendation is what it is for the council tonight from the traffic committee.
Are you ready for questions, Brian?
I am
All right.
ready.
Any questions for staff? Mr. Shea?
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Great presentation. And I don't mean to open up a can of worms here, so you can absolutely just answer this as a yes or no, but is it paramount that this stretch maintain its current speed limit?
So with regard to speed limits, yep, and Matt can comment on this too, but basically 85th percentile speed, and we did, and this does date back a few years, but basically the last time we documented 40th Street with regard to speed, I believe we're in the 38 to 39 mile an hour 85th percentile, which allowed us to post at 35. I can tell you that context plays a really big role in the speeds that motorists travel, and that generally, there's different standards with regard to that, but that's generally where we want to post our speed at, is that 85th percentile where most people feel comfortable driving a given route in the city.
Great, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Even state law, I mean, it's not a choice. I think it's helpful to just say, how does state law work in this space?
85th percentile.
It's not our choice.
Right. And there are different criteria and different situations, but in this particular situation on 40th Street, 85th percentile is where we landed.
Matt, did you have something that you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Lynn?
Talking about that speed again, what warrants a sign that says, school zone, between, it's 25 miles an hour between 8 and 10 or something like that?
Sure, and I may defer to Matt on that, but I think, so it's certainly within a municipality's ability to do that. And I guess I go back to the context, and we're already currently signed at 35 there, and that really aligns pretty well with that 85th percentile, but I'll let Matt speak to.
Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, there is a Section A. I spent the last several years as the chief representative at Lansing. A lot of time I won't get back that I've spent talking about speed limits. There is a section, it's under 627A, that you can do that, but they prefer to have 85th percentile. So we did go with the 85th percentile. Could we do that? We could do that. We could lower it down, but we're still talking about the difference between, in my view, a speed of 0 at an intersection, going to either Grasskip or Ottawa, versus whether it's 35, 40, 25, whatever it is. I just went out there again today and drove that area several times. The average speed there is about 45 miles an hour. That's kind of what people go, 40 to 45 miles an hour. There were a couple of cars that were within the speed limit. So we try to, if we do the 85th percentile, which was several years back, we did all of our roads, 85th percentile, we would like to stay within that realm if we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Corbin?
Appreciate that. And so I keep hearing the word context in relationship to the area, the crosswalk. I assume that's what you mean by context. Mm-hmm. But then also I heard the 85 percentile, which also means that's a standard, maybe that which we measure by. But it sounds like to me, based on state law, we can still fluctuate that speed if we feel the context deserves to be lowered, correct?
We could.
Okay, it's
school zone, you could, just during certain periods, you can do that, right? But another thing to take into account too is the right-of-way issue when it comes to mid-block crossings. Pedestrians do have the right-of-way within crosswalks as referred to as intersections or end of blocks. In mid-block crossings, they do not. So when they're crossing in those mid-block crossings, they cannot just step out onto the, over the curb or whatever it may be. You lose the right of way when you start venturing into those mid-block crossings. As the language talks about crosswalks within intersections and end of blocks, that's the way it's referred to. And the Michigan Vehicle Code also states that if it's a mid-block, pedestrians do not have the right of way to step into that, even if it's crosswalked, when vehicles are moving during that straightaway in mid-block.
Right, and just to follow up to that, then we have a lot of mid-block crossings throughout the city. So you're saying those would also fall in under the same rule would fall there?
Correct.
Thank you.
But we do, at the traffic committee, we try to minimize the best that we can. I don't know of any that we've been necessarily in favor of. Many of them we're not in favor of, and they're still in place. But we try to, for safety reasons, we try to push pedestrians to intersections where the speed is 0.
Mr. Schulteis.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian, thanks for the patience on this topic. You and your staff have been great on feeding information and continuing the dialogue. Just for context, the 2 exhibits that were in your presentation, one being remove and the other one being upgrade to compliance. Is the upgrade to compliance exhibit that you presented mature enough that, given direction, you could march forward and execute? Or is that, hey, like, we'd need to do some more work before we could come with a recommendation or a direction?
No, we could implement this, as far as being able to implement, we can certainly implement that. It's gonna take some survey work, right? And some detail work. And given the time of year that we're at, right, this is really a springtime, thing. Were we to go that direction, I guess.
Thanks. So big picture, your team has enough info to execute either direction?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Motion, okay, how should I? Motion to approve as presented to remove the non-compliant crosswalk.
All right. Do we have a motion from Rowan? Do we have support?
Support.
Support from Medikeen. Any discussion? Mr. Shea.
So I've been pretty passionate about walkability and non-car infrastructure since day one. It's no surprise to any of you. It's been no surprise to me that the majority of the time I am contacted by a constituent, it's to improve some intersection or a stretch of sidewalk or crossing. Because I am thinking about this so much, I'll admit this crosswalk has become a symbol for something larger than just this intersection. While it may be an imperfect example, it does highlight a challenge that I want to present to myself and my colleagues here. We're soon going to be meeting for our annual council retreat. This is where the real work happens, where we set our policy goals and outcome goals for the coming year. As we discuss this particular crossing, I'm realizing that our charge to the transportation team has been a bit vague, in my opinion. I know that the transportation department is incredibly intelligent and incredibly well-meaning, so I lay this blame at my own and our feet. I don't believe that we've been explicit enough about what we are asking of Mr. White and the transportation department. We have an awesome non-motorized plan that talks about mid-blocks and things like that, and we need to decide to what degree do we want to lean into that plan. How much urgency should we have when we address smaller projects outside of road reconstruction? I believe we should be much clearer for the sake of staff and ourselves and for the outcomes. We need to be clear about what we're looking for from our policy decisions. So I look forward to talking about that in January. In terms of this crosswalk, I would much rather see it improved rather than removed. I think there are a lot of creative examples out there of how to make mid-block crossings with 2 to 3 lanes safe. I will be want to be very clear about that with 2 to 3 lanes. I'm not talking 5 lanes. We're talking about a whole different beast. But I just would like to see that one of those executed at this location Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Corbin.
So, to respect the traffic committee and our roads department, wonderful job. You guys do a wonderful job every day. And what I'm about to say is not in any way to discredit the work that you do, and especially on this crosswalk. I know this area is growing. I know because I live in this area, right? It's not my ward, but it's still an area which I walk. I walk very frequently with my wife. And it is a pleasure to go down and up and down through that area. There is a lot more that goes on in that area probably than when the traffic study was done. To include, we look at tulip time. They use those facilities routinely throughout that week immensely. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of people. So as Keith mentioned earlier, we all unite around safety. I think that's very important. We're not here to scold or scorn anyone for wanting to remove safety, but to enhance it. Good minds could come to the different solutions or a different conclusion on what they're thinking. And what I'm thinking is, yes, it's non-compliant, but it's probably been non-compliant for a while. And it's probably something we should have been addressing for a while. And I appreciate the traffic committee and others bringing it to our attention. So there's not always these places, Councilman Shea, that we identify random, it comes up through the grassroots, people speaking to us and experiencing it, and then our traffic committee looks at it. But I think it's at a point where we need to really take things into consideration. 40th Street in general, where I live, I live on 39th between Lincoln and Washington, right? So that has been changed dramatically since I've lived there. And it's slowed speeds down. We've introduced a lot of mechanisms throughout the road area to slow traffic and to make alterations. We've had discussions about crosswalks there, two midway crosswalks. So there's a lot of things that have been done because things are changing. This community is changing. We have a lot of things changing. And I see a lot of traffic and a lot of people wanting to use this area. Adding lighting, adding street, other conveyance signs that talk about crosswalks, lines, all the things that I think should have been there long ago. And now we're just now talking about doing it. So I think it's really important for us to consider the development and the growth of the area that's happening, but also then how do we treat that with good practices and enhancing the crosswalks are there. I believe that we subsidize a lot of different things in the city. We invest a lot of ways in good things, right? We've seen that and the value of that. I think this is another way of investing in our community, investing in the south into the city and seeing more things grow. So I'm really not supportive of removal. I really would like to see us upgrade this particular location. And I come from a place of I've done this in my career for many years, previous to the current career I'm in, and I've seen these crosswalks, how they're used and how they're to our advantage. There are a lot of people that would like to cross Midway, and if I have going to two ends, those with disabilities, those with children, some of the statements that were made here, really good statements of things that I didn't even think about that we should be considering. So for me, I would be voting down on this measure, asking the staff and respectfully asking the staff to look at an alternative way of improving this area on behalf of the citizens who live in at least the south part of the city who utilize this area quite a bit. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Ms. Klomparts.
Thank you so much. I also, excuse me for my cough this evening. We'll be voting no. I think the community has been very clear that they want our city to be more walkable and pedestrian and cyclist friendly. This is my neighborhood. I grew up right off 40th Street. I live in that area. I walk with my dogs all the time, and I've utilized this mid-block crossway, and I'm seeing other folks do that as well. Certainly believe that safety should be paramount, and I think it is. I'm really excited about the proposed improvements that we have here. I think number one, we need to consider that this is right by a school. So we're gonna have a lot of kids who are crossing the street. And I know as a kid, if I wanted to cross the road, I'd cross the road where I wanted to and where I felt that I could. So I feel that folks are gonna be continuing to utilize this mid-block cross, whether or not there are safety measures in place. So I'd really like to see safety measures in place to keep folks safe because I think it's gonna be utilized regardless.
Yes, Mr. Marroquin.
I appreciate the comments and discussions around this. I think it's a larger issue than 40th Street issue. It's a city issue in terms of all non-compliant crosswalks, and so I think it's imperative that we take the advice of the traffic committee to not make this a litmus test on how we approach issues around walkability and viability of crosswalks. And so I think it's important to look at the recommendation as presented, and that what comes with partial compliance or full compliance, and how that relates to all their non-compliant crosswalks.
Ms. Rowan.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Marroquin. I too agree that I think that the big highlight to me is that the recommendation from the committee that we have in place for this sole purpose has made a recommendation that this is an unsafe opportunity for, I mean, there are children at these schools. There are 3 schools in the area. We have a non-compliant renegade crosswalk. I think fundamentally it's unsafe, and the speeds that are on that street are unsafe. The only safe speed I agree with Chief Messer, the only safe speed is 0 for a controlled crosswalk at a stop sign. I'll be voting in favor of removing this non-compliant crosswalk. Thank you.
Any other discussion? One of the benefits of speaking last is I get to listen to all of you very, very intelligent people first. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. One of the things that I love about this job is that it can be difficult at times. There are 9 people up here for a reason, that there can be 9 different, what I think are correct viewpoints that can be different on a subject like this. 9 intelligent people, 9 intelligent, well-meaning people who come up with different answers to difficult questions like this. And as Mr. Van Beek said at the beginning, every single one of us has been and continues to be concerned about safety and about trying to do what we think individually and corporately is the right thing here. I have not heard any one of us throughout all of our discussion on this, and you're right, Mr. Van Beek, 5 different times we have publicly talked about this, and we've talked in other conversations about it. I'm sure each of us have thought about it many, many, many more times than that. None of us have ever talked about cost with this. When we've looked at what those upgrades are, I'm not even sure any of us have even asked what it might cost to do those upgrades. I think each of us have all thought, if it needs to be done, it's going to be done. If that's what it takes for safety, that we're just going to do that, because safety is the primary issue here. I'm not an expert in crosswalks. I'm not an expert in traffic. We have experts that we hire to do that, to research these things for us and to make recommendations for us. I used to live in this neighborhood. I used to drive down this road every single day. As I said a month and a half ago, I used to have a very bad McDonald's habit in the morning that took me down 40th Street every single morning. Don't tell my wife. And rarely did I see this crosswalk. I've looked for this crosswalk subsequently. It's hard to see even when you're looking for it. I agree with Chief Messer. People drive well over the speed limit along here. It was incredibly telling to me a couple of weeks ago at the study session, Chief, when you said at 40 miles an hour, you're traveling 66 feet per second. It was incredibly telling tonight, Brian, when you said it's 88 feet, from the moment you realize that you need to stop to the time that you need to stop. I learned a new thing tonight, that mid-block crosswalk pedestrians do not have the right of way. I did not know that before this evening. I know that kids want to cross where kids want to cross. I also know that drivers want to drive where drivers want to drive at the speed that they want to drive. I said a month and a half ago, I would not let my grandchildren cross at this crossing. I would not let them go there on their own regardless of their age. I cannot in good conscience let the children of the people of the city of Holland cross at this crosswalk if I can help it, because I think that what we would be doing would be creating a false sense of security for those children, thinking that it is perfectly all right for them to cross there. I think it would be telling their parents that it is perfectly all right that we as city council members, that I as the mayor of the city of Holland have said, I believe that it's safe for you to cross there. I don't believe that it would be safe for them to cross there, even with the improvements that are there. So having said that, Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Klumparens.
No.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
No.
Corbin.
No.
Mayor Keen.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shea.
No.
Schultheis.
No.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion does not carry. 4 yes, 5 no.
All right. Do we have another motion?
I would love to make a motion.
Mr. Shea.
Make a motion that we task the Transportation Department with a full pitch and recommendation to improve this crosswalk and bring it up to compliance.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Councilman Shea, your words were a motion for the traffic committee to develop a recommendation, is what I heard. Just trying to understand what you're making a motion for.
To make a recommendation as to how we can become compliant.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I know you're not, you may have a motion on the table.
There's a
but
motion on the
I
table.
want clarification on the motion.
I will rescind my motion. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. And the question I have is that, shouldn't this just be something that we, as a council, look back to the city manager to address, and when he feels it's appropriate to bring back a recommendation, he can do so?
Oh, or we could make or council could make a motion right now.
I think we should wait and to see what the city manager
Well,
has to say at this point.
Do you want me to?
No.
Or
Please.
Mr. Freeman may make a
I'd
motion.
just make a motion that we approve the alternate choice then to upgrade with the plan that's laid before us this evening.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
No,
There's a motion on the table, so I
there's a
can't-
motion on the
I can't
table. Is there
speak to it.
is there support?
Support.
The motion and support. Is there any discussion?
I got a head nod from the city manager, so I feel that's an appropriate way that we're addressing it. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right. Any other discussion?
As I understand, there's two
There's-
recommendation
yes,
possibilities?
Are we clear on which plan it is, Mr. City Manager? Or Mr. Vreeman, I guess, is probably the appropriate.
Is it okay, Mr. Reeman? What I heard and what I conferred real quickly on the side here and what we would be comfortable with is you've seen the components of what we would upgrade, and that we're comfortable and understand again, Mr. White said it's not going to happen next week, right? And but that we would do the preparations, and then that next spring, if the motion, as I understand it, that's on the table passes, then we would make that part of, and we would proceed, and we would install these improvements next. I want to be careful, like it might take some time, so next summer.
You would move ahead with making
we would just
with all
install
due
it.
diligence.
Absolutely.
Timely
In a timely
changes.
manner.
Yes.
Does that meet your?
It does. There's two proposals. I trust that one of those is going to be selected to make these improvements, correct?
I think that we would move forward more with the one that was number 2. The number 2 proposal.
Which is a straight pass versus the
Yeah,
broke off one.
I think when we did the number 3, you'll recall we had a discussion at the study session, and with some of the things of getting into the pipeline and all those types of things, I think with the fencing, the way we talked about it, we feel that option 2 would be the one that we would proceed with.
Mr. Schulteis.
But again, that's up. You give us the direction, but if that would be the vote, we would proceed and install.
Then I would expand that motion to include, to be clarifying of option 2.
Mr. Schulteis.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. As Chief Governance Officer,
Thank
do you have a
Yes.
Yes.
We can get clean. Motion to amend the motion on the table, reworded as upgrade the reference crosswalk to compliance.
I'll support that amendment.
Okay, so we've got an amended motion. Is there any discussion on the amended motion? Okay. Brenda, would you please call the roll on the amended motion and the amendment to the motion?
Okay. Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Clomparens.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Marikeen.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Well done, Mr. Schulteis, on your first action as Chief Governance Officer.
Thanks. Remember, we're still in discussion.
Yeah, we are still in discussion on an amended motion. Any further discussion on the amended motion? All right, Brenda, would you please call the roll on the amended motion?
Schulteis.
Yes.
Clomparens.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Marikeen.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
And Box.
Yes.
That motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 9, written petitions and communications. In addition to providing the public the opportunity to address council in person at our meetings, we do also provide an email address where they can provide written communications, and that email address is publiccomment@cityofholland.com. Again, publiccomment@cityofholland.com. We collect those in between our regular meetings. Council reviews them as part of our council packet, and we accept them into the record at our regular meetings. We do not read them out loud, but do accept them in bulk at our regular meetings. We do have some this evening, and so I would accept a motion to accept those into the record.
So moved.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 10A, resolution to adopt ordinance amending section 22-10 as an emergency ordinance. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and public. We decided just to have at least 2 issues on the agenda tonight that maybe don't go just perfect in the sense, and I want to be clear here, in the sense that everyone has the same mind and it's just simple. I think what we just did is actually an example of really good governance and really good democracy. So if there's any confusion, when staff makes a recommendation, if it's not accepted all the time, no one's going home hurt or offended. It's good government, so it's fine. What we have here is something that was a little messy last time too. So I'm going to take a little extra time, refer back to the report, so everyone understands kind of what we're dealing with and that there's clarity as to the options before council this evening. So what's in front of you now is a resolution to adopt the ordinance amending section 2210 as an emergency ordinance. And basically what you have is this is an ordinance that deals with alcohol in parks. And the precipitating instance is a unanimous recommendation from the DDA and the PSD to expand the social district into a portion of the window on the waterfront, specifically only being the ice park. And when you take a look at the ice park, it's only the plaza area. It does not include the ice itself. And the order of this is that the ordinance actually needs to be acted upon or not before really you could act on the resolution to expand the social district. So the consideration that you have on this item, and only if there would be action by council to approve this ordinance, would you at a later spot on the agenda consider or not consider the social district expansion. Okay? Now, the social district. When the social districts were originally proposed, both allowed at the state level, but then voted upon and discussed by city council, it doesn't look like Chief Messer is here anymore, but some of you may recall there was a lot of healthy discussion and consideration about the social district at that point and what it would mean in the downtown area. And council, you all know that we've had multiple conversations about this in time, that effectively we've had no issues with the social district in the downtown area. In the public e-comments that you've just had, just noting we've had great public comment tonight, and you've also had, I think there were 30 or more e-public comments on this topic also. So staff does recommend on this item that you would expand the social district into Window on the Waterfront. I know there's been different discussions, but I don't think this is a new referenced topic for all of you on this. And I'll say that Assistant City Manager Van Dyken and I certainly have had no shortage of tours, both with donors and with others. And I would characterize it this way. It's not like we walk through the ice park and like the third thing that we talked about is the possibility of expanding the social district into the ice park, because part of the staff recommendation here is that it is not a prominent part of the ice park, but that it is an element that when we talk to tours and donors and council, that this was something that was potentially come to you at some point, and that point is this evening. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And again, the action then on the ordinance, to make it just a tad more confusing, is that anytime you adopt an ordinance, you can either adopt said ordinance with a future date of taking an effect, and typically it would be 21 days after that ordinance is approved, and an ordinance is adopted with just a majority vote of council. Or, and the terminology that's used in our charter is it says it's an emergency ordinance. I would say that's a term of art, but an emergency or ordinance where it would take immediate effect by our charter requires 6 affirmative votes of council. So again, the item that's in front of you right now is to adopt an ordinance that would amend section 2210 to allow alcohol, in this case, in a very prescribed area in Window on the Waterfront. And less than 5 votes would deny it. 5 votes or more would put it into effect. And 6 votes or more, if that was the motion, could give it immediate effect. If that's clear, if that's clear, and I can go through that one more time if you would like.
All right. Any questions for staff?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify one
Mr.
thing.
Duckworth, yes.
Keith's right next to me. He can slap me if I. emergency or the immediate effect ordinance, that could be one vote. If that only gets 5, that doesn't automatically pass. There would need to be a second motion to approve as an ordinary ordinance. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not, it doesn't automatically
It does not automatically become an ordinance if the motion is for immediate effect, but it only gets 5 votes.
That's the only thing considered.
Okay.
That would go down, and then the council would have the opportunity to make another motion, but I just make sure that
All
was
right.
clear. Yep.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Duckworth. Appreciate that.
So you're still in question phase here?
Yes, we're still in question phase.
Then hopefully we're not moving for a motion at this point, so.
Not yet.
So Keith, despite if this passes or not questioning that, I am, sorry, I'm just maybe, whether it passes or not, we still have an option as a council to approve alcohol in the park on occasion, like we have in other parks in the past. Do we not have that other, is that another option to us as well?
Yeah, it's outlined. In certain parks, that's an option. In other parks, it's not an option as outlined in the ordinance.
Okay, I just want to make sure my colleagues also know that there's that option as well. We can, the question to you is that we can permit on occasion when that facility or that park desires to use it for a particular purpose, we can authorize a temporary liquor license, correct?
And 2210 is the area where it has the history of how council has made those decisions in time, because there's some areas, parks or otherwise, that do allow alcohol, and there's some that allow it for special events, and there's some that don't allow it at all. So
Thank you for the clarity, appreciate it.
Mr. Freeman?
I just want to make sure that we're, because how you just answered, it feels like for me it confused things, and I'm just trying to be just super clear and clean. The word emergency is regardless of what takes place tonight because we're changing an ordinance. Is that correct?
So Tim, I would describe it this way. The first thing that you have is an ordinance to either amend Section 2210 to allow alcohol in a portion of the window on the waterfront.
Okay.
And like other ordinances, that's an up or a down, and you'd need 5 votes to approve it. Okay?
Yep.
The emergency take immediate effect is an additional portion of what council could act upon, but that requires 6 votes instead of 5 votes. So what I tried to do is lay out for you who makes the first motion and then how you want to vote on that motion and what's in it or what's not in it.
Mr. Shea?
And I apologize if this is a question for the next item, but I am a little confused.
The Chief Governance Officer next to you will stop you if it's not appropriate.
Please interrupt, yes. Do we know if there's a change in insurance policy if we have that?
No, I would say we cover, as you all know, we have a hefty amount of overall insurance coverage, which was part of the conversation when we added an ice park, because that would be a material change when we update that insurance. And also there's waivers that we're very much involved so that the people that are actually using the ice sign off on those waivers when they use the ice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Matakin.
I'll try. So could this be amended without emergency action?
Yes. So you all can make any motion you want, right? So a motion to adopt the ordinance without the emergency, and then if that would pass and no one talks about the emergency ordinance, then it just should be understood that it would take effect 21 days after passage.
Thank you.
Mr. Schulteis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Keith, you characterize the emergency aspect of the charter as an art. Can you expand on how you and your team evaluated that?
So I want to be very clear with that, right? And part of it, understand that this is the way it's in our charter. So it's in our charter. So like council can't go back and change it just by your vote. What I would say as a term of art is I've worked in other communities, and this is what I do, right? So there's other communities that when they adopt ordinances, part of their action is they have either different flexibility or they use a term that's not an emergency ordinance, and it just says, when will this take effect? So I'm not trying to make it more complicated, but that's what emergency ordinance means.
Do we have someone?
Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
Well,
Mr.
on the
Duckworth.
emergency nature, I just wanted to point out the charter, to echo what Keith has mentioned. You know, the 21-day requirements for a standard ordinance, the immediate effect language is captioned as emergency. And that's really to provide notice, because this is an ordinance that's just amending a current section. And if you look at the bottom of the ordinance, there's a penalty. And the charter says anytime there's a penalty, you have to give it 21 days so you can conform your conduct to not violate the law. The proposed ordinance is actually creating an exception from violation of the law, but nonetheless, the ordinance has penalty in it, and because it has penalty, it's 21 days unless it's an immediate effect by emergency. So I hope that made it more confusing, but that's one of the other reasons that's at 21 days there, is to allow you to conform your conduct to a new law that's going to potentially be a misdemeanor. But here, it's actually would be an extra exception. Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
One more,
Mr.
another
Corbett.
question back to council then. So, in order to pass this, it's not required to have an emergency ordinance. And that's what I just want to clarify, correct? That can be removed in any motion and still allow the ordinance to be changed, correct? Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item? Mr. Schulteis.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve the ordinance amendment without an emergency basis for immediate effect to take effect 21 days from date of passage.
Support?
We have motion and we have support. Any discussion? Mr. Corbin?
Yeah, so, unless anyone else, please.
Mr.
Let
Mr. Shea.
Schulteis-
I get it. We're the same age and bald. I really just want to say I appreciate all the comments that we've received, both digitally and here in person. This has been a very interesting exercise and a very interesting discussion. I personally, you can go to a bowling alley, there's beer. I don't know. That's all. Thanks.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Corbin?
Yeah, just to repeat a little bit of that, at places where alcohol is served, you have to be accompanied by a parent as well. So, whereas a skate park, if it was just a park, they could still go and skate and enjoy themselves. Not, if it was just a bowling alley, they could just go and, or a bar, they could just go and bowl or enjoy that. So just to rebuttal that a little bit. I guess I went pretty extensively last week and explained my position on this. I'm not going to reiterate that. People can go back and listen to my comments. But I will say that for parks in general, we've had a long history in our parks, not only in our parks, but other parks adjacent to us, other communities, state parks, is the neutrality of our parks and making sure that they're family friendly and that it is a place where people can go and really find refuge in the park itself and enjoy the amenities that we provide. I don't see an argument for why we would need to have the alcohol there. I think the social district's large enough. There's plenty of places to go up and down the street and enjoy a beverage, but when coming into our park or to amend our park ordinance to accommodate that one thing, I think is, really at odds with what our current policy is on our parks. So I will not be voting in support of this ordinance, even though I second the motion. And the whole point of seconding the motion was to make sure that the motion got on there without the emergency. I don't think it's on top of it necessary to have an emergency ordinance. I think having us go through the process, good governance, is saying if this is important to the council and the changing an ordinance, making sure we have a first reading and a second reading, and make sure we have plenty of opportunity for the public to comment on this, which we've seen in the audience, we've seen in emails and discussions we've had. I think is perfectly the right path for us to go. I will say it's always going to be difficult to control alcohol in areas where you don't want alcohol. And I'll say that firsthand because while visiting the park with my wife, we witnessed it. By the time I could find someone to say something to, those people had gone. But they traveled over there with the alcohol, the beverage, and we still don't have a place for it. It's still not lawfully allowed for it to be present. I still think there's going to be this mission creep, quote unquote, of moving more into our parks. We have about 4 other parks on 8th Street that we own and control. We signage and says this is a small park. No alcohol beverages allowed next to the brewery. There's, we have some small, tiny parks that we don't allow alcohol in. So I do think it could be problematic in the future if we want to go down this path. But for me, I'm just not voting in support of this. Thank you.
Mr. Schulteis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to expand on why the motion that is different than recommended. And I think it's similar to what we talked about 2 weeks ago. Was able to visit the language surrounding ordinance changes, and though practices might allow using it for, just to expediency to get quicker effective dates, the only words we're left with in the charter is emergency. I reflect on orientation 2 years ago and somewhat the mantra and culture of this team and city staff is good governance, consistent process. I think this one starts to push a little bit on it. Does it make sense? Couldn't wrap my head around how we'd characterize this one under that stipulation without being able to identify some adverse impact. And that's why I created the motion. I'll be voting yes.
Any other discussion? Yeah, Ms. Rowan.
Yes, thank you. Last time when we took this up, I was supportive of moving it forward with the emergency provision, although I think many of us questioned and sort of got on board the fact that the emergency nature of it was a little unclear. I'm much more comfortable. I mean, I was supportive of it last time, let's just face it, but I'm happy that we seem to have removed the emergency language. I think it takes some of the discomfort away that some of us might have felt at the last meeting. I'm supportive of it. I don't think that expanding the social district by 1 block, negatively impacts our city. And I think that there's plenty of examples where the social district has functioned quite lovely and servicing families and creating a family atmosphere. I think the reports have been there have been no impactful negative events that have tainted our social district. And I don't really agree that having a beer while you're at an ice park skating or watching skating is contrary to family values, I think. Public intoxication may be different, but having a glass of beer while you're at the ice rink, I don't think that that's contrary to family values. That's my position.
Any other discussion? Mr. Corbin.
I just want to clarify, I'm not questioning the family values in this. I mean, there are plenty of families who drink alcohol and consume alcohol in a very social way. All I've been arguing is that this should not be in our parks. This is a neutral location for families to come to who may agree or not agree with the presence of alcohol. But again, I'm just suggesting that we have a long history, rich history, not only ourselves, but our neighbors around us, to have this outside of our parks. And I think we need to be very consistent with that going forward. So, and I know it's a small expansion. It's not very large of an area that we're growing into, but it is indeed going into a park. And that's my whole argument. And that's why I'll be voting no. But I just wanted to make sure that was clear on my part. I wasn't questioning people's values, family values.
Any other discussion? And again, thank you to everyone who did send comments in, both e-comments, folks who came in and spoke here, and all of the people that we spoke to over the weekend. Lots of people came out to the opening. Lots of people asked about it. I've had lots of conversations with folks over the last several days about the social district, about our process through this as well. Questions about emergency ordinance, when it takes place, how it takes place, and again, Kim and Mike with the explanation of emergency versus non-emergency, and I think the public really understood, and I think respected the fact that we wanted to take time with this and go through that process. I think that they understood that and went, yeah, that seems like that makes sense, especially with 2 new council members coming in, with the idea that 2 weeks ago was kind of a lame duck session, and the feeling with council members not really being comfortable saying we're gonna take this action, even though in my mind emergency isn't really emergency. It's that term of art. It's really immediate effect, but even just the look of it not being that great, the public really respected that. I respect everybody's opinion, Scott, about whether that alcohol should be in the park, should not be in the park. But again, with the fact that we've had the social district now for 4 years, and not a single problem, not a single issue. As everyone knows, I'm an early morning walker downtown, and I think in all of the years that I've been walking downtown at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, I can count on one hand the number of social district cups that I've picked up. I don't think I've ever seen anybody publicly intoxicated with a social district cup. That's not what people are going down into the social district to do. We have what we refer to as stroller beers. The dad's down there while the mom is in shopping. They're waiting for their reservation. I think that's what we're likely to see when we're dealing with the ice rink as well. And as we talked about last time, we've got the ability to be able to pull this back if this is an issue as well. But also in talking to folks over the weekend, saw this as a natural extension of what was going on with the activities, with the ice skating, with the curling that's going on at the ice park as well. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
No.
Mayor Keen.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Klumparens.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 12, Echo 6.1, Downtown Group Resolution to amend social district and commons area boundaries. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So this, I think, is the map. You have the report and the motion and the resolution in your packet. This would, in the darker shade there, and then zoom in specifically on the Holland Ice Park portion of the window on the waterfront, and it shows only the darker brown tan color would be specifically the expansion of the social district, and what those boundaries then would be moved to. And as outlined, even though you would take action possibly on this recommendation per your most recent action, this, if you would vote to approve this, would not take effect for 21 days.
All right. Any questions for staff? All right. What is the pleasure of the council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Raymond. Is there support? Support by Rowan. Any discussion? No. Seeing none, Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin. Mearkeen.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
Clomparens.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item, 12 Echo 6.2, gifts. Brenda, would you please review the gifts as soon as you get caught up there?
Yep, okay. The city manager's office is pleased to report the following gift. A donation of $2,500 from the committee to elect Nathan Box for the Parks and Recreation Department Sal Perez Scholarship Program. It's recommended this donation be accepted with appreciation, credited to the appropriate account, and an expression of gratitude be forwarded to the donor.
What is the pleasure of council in regard to the gifts?
Motion to accept, thank them,
Him.
and route them to the appropriate place. Just want to get all of that straight.
Motion by Rowan. Is there support? Support by Clompards. Yes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 13, communications from the city manager, Mr. Van Beek.
I'm going to go quick. First, I cannot pass this time. I've certainly done it privately, publicly, in other ways, but just a gigantic, huge appreciation to the community, to those that donated, but to a large amount of staff that contributed in a variety of different ways. But there is a particular group of staff that over the last 2.5 weeks went above and beyond in ways that probably no one will ever understand to get the ice park up and operational. And not because things went wrong, just because, especially the first time, it's a little bit of work. So for that group, Andy, Garrett, Kemery, Soren, Sarah, and Alan, great appreciation always. I joked with some people that in some way last Friday, building up to that and then being able to see it pretty consistently after, it might be all downhill for a city manager at that point, because when you open something like that, it is pretty rewarding and pretty cool. Certainly communicate all out to you. You know these things, but the schedule the next several months always gets interesting when we get into holiday times and fewer study sessions and budget videos and all those types of things. Thank you. I think most everybody has, but you still have time to respond to Mallory for dates as we try to find a date that gets the most of you to our annual retreat. And then the final thing, just because it hasn't gotten as much of attention, I can only imagine if we didn't have other things, how much attention this would get. But another thing that has been talked about for years that actually has made very visible progress over the last couple weeks is that the greenhouse by Evergreen Commons has been removed. That was very specifically planned out, discussed with you, the Historic District Commission, the Recreation Commission. There was a lot that went into that, and then very specifically how that was removed, that portions were retained and will, pending further actions, go up in Centennial Park to make sure that we retain that historical nature and really more the historical story of what that greenhouse originally did, and that it was for the support of the Centennial Park, I think is going to be really neat. And then there is an ongoing element that we would bring forward to you ultimately that would complete a donation from the heart of the community that would enable that square block to be removed from any historic designations, and then Evergreen Commons would be in place to complete a purchase of that property. So a lot of things going on with that too, and the most visible thing happened in the last couple weeks, and that was taken down. So just thought it would be appropriate to keep that on your radar. If anyone has more specific questions about all the multiple elements moving in that, I'd be happy to outline that for you. But I think that's been well communicated and coordinated with a lot of different bodies and elements. Evergreen Commons is well aware of what's going on there. So we look forward to taking that to completion next spring. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 14, appointments and communications from the mayor. I'm not going to let it pass by either, Matt. Thank you to you and to Matt and to your team. Friday was amazing, and yes, you and I both said that's probably the highlight. It might be all downhill from there, but I expressed this to Andy today, and I want to express this to you and to Matt if Matt's listening, although I think he's at a swim meet, so he might not be listening. It is absolutely wonderful to be able to have the confidence to know that everything is just going to go right on a day like that. That as mayor, that you just don't have to worry. That to have the incredible level of confidence in you and your staff that you are going to pull off every detail perfectly. Now, Andy, when he turned on the fireplaces at 4:30 in the morning and shut off all of the lights in the entire ice park and couldn't for a moment figure out how to turn them back on again, and we thought he broke the ice park. Sorry, Andy. Scared us all for a moment, but then the lights came back on again. But a day like that running flawlessly is just a sight to behold and a wonderful thing for us to be able to know that it's just going to all turn out well. And I have heard nothing but positive comments about what an amazing facility that is, how smoothly everything has run, what a great experience everybody has. Kudos to you and your team for mastering every single bit of that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Also, council members, thank you. I think that everybody has gotten in their survey on what they would like to do in terms of appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. So I'm going to be, everybody's got those in, right? Yeah. Yes, I think so. Okay. Yeah, we had to run through that. I thought they all did. So we'll be going through, hopefully by next council meeting, I'll be able to have that list, and I'm going to try to get as many people on top choices as possibly can. It looks like that you guys all did a really good job. I think you're going to make it easy for me, so that's a good thing. And then I do have a couple of appointments this evening and a resignation. I would ask that the council approve the appointment of Nikki Ehrenshorst to the Human Relations Commission for her first full term, said term expiring on June 30, 2028. She will be filling the vacant seat left by Commission member Abby Klomparns, whose term expired on June 30 of 2025, and also Peter Kennedy to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to fill a partial term, with that term expiring June 30, 2026. Mr. Kennedy will replace Authority member Bob Carlson and also accept the resignation of Bob Carlson from the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and I will be looking for a motion in that regard.
Motion to approve those appointments and resignations.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, appointments, motions, communications from council members. Anything from council members this evening? Yes, Mr. Vreeman.
It might seem premature, but in my need to celebrate well, number one, acknowledging Tim and Abby on council. Thanks for being here and making this happen. Great meeting for the first one, right? Yeah. But Christmas is coming, and there's a Christmas parade, and it's the Parade of Lights, and so you need to be happening now to be searching for your lighted garb, hats, jackets, whatever it is, to make that happen and happen well. So, and that is December 2, so it's not that far away.
Anything else? Mr. Corbin.
So I did reach out to Keith and his staff, Mallory, just to ask about our holiday cards. So for those new members who aren't aware, what we typically do is get a list of names of our employees, well, the employees of the city, and we get a set of cards, self-stamped envelopes, and we send out a greeting to them. So we share in that wealth as a council, and Keith has reassured me that soon enough we'll start seeing those cards, because it does take a while to populate and put those together and make our comments known. So hopefully we'll see those going out, and hopefully you guys will join us in doing that. The other part is I want to thank my colleagues for the confidence in selecting me as your mayor pro tem. I've served twice before. This is my third term. I'm very humble that you all selected, many of you selected me, and I appreciate that. I really, truly do. I think we're all worthy of leadership roles on this council. And while I didn't win the governance position, was very supportive in splitting out that position. And I'm very grateful that you're interested in that you were involved. And I completely will work with you, helping you understand kind of what we've been doing in the past. You have a significant role to play, and so I want to make sure you succeed on behalf of this council and this board in making sure we meet our governance agreement here and requirements that we all come to enjoy. So thank you to everyone, and yeah.
Mr. Vreeman?
Will we have a seating chart change
I
with that?
I was actually gonna mention that. We had talked about that previously about, actually, Mr. Marakeen, I hadn't told you that. We're gonna slide you down and move Mr. Schulteis up here so that I've got governance right next to me so that he can make
Do we
sure
get
he.
to do a revote?
No, sorry. You have to sit next to me.
I love this end.
Yeah, no, you have to sit next to me. Sorry, Mike. Yes. Any other comments, communications, motions from council members?
Mike, if he gets out of hand, we both have panic buttons on each side.
You
just
do.
in case. So,
You do.
Okay.
All right. Just one more motion I'd entertain.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support by Raymond. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.